Hello, and welcome back to Wendy's Way. I don't know if I've recorded in the basement on my channel. Maybe once last year when I had some plants going down here under this light system. Don't mind the mess you see behind me. It's we're gonna say Northeast Iowa engineering system to hold my grow lights over these tables. I do have other shelves in the back that I'm gonna end up putting grow lights and more seed trays on as well. But today I'm just getting started on my first batch. And I wanted to bring you along because now more than ever, I think it has become important for us to become more self-reliant on food. There are so many things currently. Today I want to say is the 27th of March, maybe the 28th. I don't recall. We're nearing the end of March in 2020, and the coronavirus is rampant. And amazingly enough, yesterday, even an individual in my hometown here in Northeast Iowa in Butler County was diagnosed with the COVID-19 or coronavirus. He's in very serious condition, and he was a very healthy man for his age when he got sick. He's probably between 60 and 68, I'm guessing, and never a smoker or a drinker, a very healthy eater, exercised every day. And he is in very serious condition in ICU with a ventilator in a medically induced coma. Just turned my lights on for the first time this year. They're getting warmed up. They're going, ooh, pop, pop. Ooh, pop. I'll show you more of my configuration of lights here later. Again, like I say, it's Northeast Iowa engineering, but I'm gonna get set up here and just show you my basic seed starting technique. Nothing I figured out for myself. Everything I do, I learned from others. And this will only be the second year that I have started seeds for myself. Last year, it was amazing. Every type of seed that I started, and I started everything in the house because we had so much rain last spring that I couldn't start things in the ground that I normally would. So I started everything in the house. Beans, peas, gourds, everything. And everything grew. Not every single plant, but the majority by far of the plants grew and were productive. So I've been very, very fortunate and absolutely blessed. I'm starting out with a soil mixture, which for today is what I had on hand. I don't have any prepared starter mix. What I had was a small batch of potting mix, which already has some peat moss and a little perlite in it. And I also had a large bag of potting soil, which is very rich and black and moist. So when typically you start off with a seed potting mix, it will be very dry and you'll need to put enough water in it to wet it to the stage where it's like a sponge that you've just squeezed out. You don't want water to come out of the soil. You don't want it to be wet. You just want it to be very, very damp. Also, to the potting mix and potting soil, I added more perlite because I did have that on hand. Because potting soil, it's not aerated enough. it can compact very easily and drown or choke your little seedlings or your roots. So I tried to air it up a little bit. I do have peat moss on hand, but it's out in the big garden and that's where I'm gonna use it. I wasn't gonna sacrifice anything for my potting mix. I think I'll be good to go with what I have. So my soil is already damp, but in case it isn't, you know, you're gonna want one of these and or a hose with a water connection, depending on where you're doing this. You're going to want something to start your seeds in. This is a tray that a dear friend of mine passed to me, and it was actually full of soil. Naturally, I dumped that in with the soil that I have so that everything is of equal moisture and everything has the perlite and the soil and the potting mix and everything, because who knows what was in these trays. But now it's all mixed together. So you can use any container you have to start seeds. It doesn't have to be a flat like this. It doesn't have to be anything in particular. I have more flats here that I either picked them up at Dollar General or somewhere, and they have these little they have cardboard inserts and a tray, plus they have a plastic lid that you could put on top, and that'll hold the moisture in better for you if you choose to use them. And you know, like I say, those were probably Dollar General, so I got them for $1. You can use a styrofoam cup. You can use a little plastic cup. You can use one thing, if I run out of tray space, I'm going to use like those. I have a large number of recycled to-go containers, like you buy a pint of potato salad in, clear plastic. Just poke some holes in the bottom. You can use cottage cheese containers. You can use egg cartons. You can use egg shells, because you can just drop them right in the ground. Whatever you want. Whatever you can put a little dirt in and hold the water from underneath, use it. It's all good. You're gonna need markers, because for everything, every type of seed that you plant, you will want to put the name, not only tomato, but if you have a variety, obviously you put the variety on here, and the date that you planted the seed, so that you can keep track of what you're doing, find out what works, find out what timing was good and what timing was bad. This year, everything's so sideways, we're just doing it when we have time and when we feel like it. And then obviously you will need seeds. These are the seeds that my girlfriend gave me along with that tray. She's looking for some cherry tomatoes and some slicers. I've got a mad variety of seeds that I'm gonna put in, and if you have watched my channel in the past, you'll probably know. If I can remember, I'll put a link to the video where I showed you my Baker Creek heirloom seed unboxing this year. Or the one from last year was pretty funny, because that was the first time I'd ordered from them. Oh man, they have some really interesting varieties of things. I mean, who'd have thought? White eggplant, purple carrots. You know, I'm gonna be growing some string beans this year that grow to 30 inches long. You know, noodle beans. Just some really cool stuff. So if you're looking to be a little more self-sufficient in the food department, this is one thing anyone can do. You don't need special equipment. You don't need, you know, you need some seeds. And if you can't even afford the seed packs, talk to your neighbors. Talk to some farmers in the area. Some people, most gardeners are happy to share seeds. Talk to the 4-H. They might be able to help you out too. Alrighty. Well, I'm going to get busy at it. Let me get myself arranged and I'll show you what I'm doing from here. All right, here we go. we have our first tray set up here, and I have the soil, I have the seeds, I have the markers marked, and we're gonna fill our first tray. First of all, I wanted to remind you that these trays have holes in them, and they sit inside of a tray that holds water. And if you are able, in my personal experience, and because of the method that I garden, which basically is container gardening, that you'll see more later, or if you go back into my archives, you'll find out about rain gutter grow systems. I think it is very beneficial for plants to draw their water from the bottom rather than from the top. That's what it is. So I'm gonna fill these trays. I brought some of the soil over here so I don't have to dip right into the great big container. And you know, you just hopefully will have enough to fill them all close. And you don't fill them completely. You get close, tamp it down a little bit, and then when you place your seeds on the top, then rather than making holes to put the seeds in, I have heard from people who know and have been doing it much longer than I have, that they have the best luck. Of course, there's no luck. The method that has worked best for them is placing the seeds on top of the soil without making a hole or a divot, and then sprinkling soil on top of them. Keeps it loose and not compacted, and you know, kind of ensures that there's no air pocket around it for better germination. So, you know, I'm probably looking silly, slow, and methodical about this, but I really don't want to have to sweep off my table again. Again, I'm in the basement, so, you know, messes are expected. The tables I'm working on have been through a flood. It's not like they're beautiful or valuable. They're valuable to me for growing seeds. So, I'm almost there. I was on the outside. Need a bit more. And we'll just cap it so that the soil sinks a little bit. You don't want it totally full of air. You need to be able to grab a hold of something, and you don't want the soil totally full of air either, because you want it just dense enough to wick the water that you're sending from underneath. So, excuse the noise. There we go. Some are not quite even. You can tell they didn't get as much, even though they looked like they did. Get clods out of there. Actually, it's the ones on the outside, because I didn't want to get soil all over the table. I hope you can hear me. I have the camera a little further from my mouth than is normal, but my sweet young man that I love as a son vacated the basement so that he wouldn't be making background noises or something while I was recording. I am so blessed as well that he is with me here while we are, I don't want to say confined, voluntarily isolating ourselves because someone we know from our little town of 1,400 people is terribly, terribly sick. All right. We did that. Now, we're going to start with the Brandywine Pink. And since she gave me 4 packets of seeds, and in this direction there are 4 rows of cells, I'm going to fill each row with a packet of tomatoes. So we may end up with quite possibly multiple seeds in each cell, and that is okay. Try to get them close to the middle if you can. Once you've got what looks like it, at least you have enough for 2 or 3 in each cell, then go back and add. I need to keep counting and figure out where I'm at because I can't see them very well. You know, it's probably 2 years worth here. I think I'll put them back in the packet because you really don't need that many seeds in each cell. So, show them enough for next year. All right. 2 years worth of Brandywine. All right. Seal them off and take them back to Rachel. All right, the next one, we're going to put the probably larger plants, the slicers. Put the delicious on the outside as well. Put the smaller ones in the middle. These are tiny little seeds. You're under some LED lights and things might look funny when I get a little close up. Trying to put at least 3. And once they come up, you know, if you have 3 plants in there, there likely won't be room. If you really feel like you want to save everything that is growing, then once they get big enough to carefully pull them apart, you can separate them out and put them in different containers if you want, bigger containers. Or if you feel like, you know, you're not really worried, you only want 1 per container, then pull out the smaller ones very, very carefully and discard them. We're just going to ensure that we get growth in every cell, we pray. Okay. And these 2 packets are the same. So I actually wrote out super sweet on one stick, and on the other one I just put SS as an abbreviation. So we'll know with the date. These may not have as many seeds, so it's all right. Be a little more careful with our delving of the seeds because these are tiny. Hey, there goes the furnace. Can you tell how close I am? Runs awfully quietly, I think. Not that we wanted to, but 4 years ago, there was a catastrophic flood in our little town, and it went to the main floor in our house. So this entire basement, which is almost 1,600 square feet, where I had an industrial sewing business, and all of my hobby craft accumulated goods from years. What am I doing? I'm sorting them. Well, anyway, I get busy talking. So we lost everything from the business, and miles of yarn and fabric and notions and machines and all that. The only good thing is, well, there have been a few good things. When you need to look at the bright side, you just do. I have a new 4-year-old heating cooling system, water heater, air conditioning compressor, refrigerator freezer, dishwasher, floor coverings, and a bunch of wonderful secondhand furniture. Okay. Every cell has tomato seeds in it. They've been marked. And now I'm just going to carefully sprinkle some soil over top. I'll give it a slight tap once I get it in there. Level it out. Make sure they're not sitting in air pockets. And earlier I was talking about adding perlite to the soil. If you're not familiar with perlite, yeah, get it all covered with dirt so you can't see it. Perlite are the white little things. I guess they look like pearls. I don't know if you can actually see it in there or not. It looks like you took a beanbag chair, an old beanbag chair, and sliced it open and dumped all those white little styrofoam balls in a bag. And that's not what it's made of. It's actually made of some volcanic material that has been extremely heated and processed, and it is good for aerating soil, making sure that plants don't get too wet and the soil doesn't get too compacted. We're just going to level them out. Now the soil is lightly damp. It's not wet enough that I think I'll just leave it. I think I will just put one little splash of water across it once I get them in and covered, just to give them a go. And then I'll put water in the bottom of the tray. Just lift up the edge and dump water in the bottom of the tray, and hopefully that'll be enough to start the wicking process. So this is it. I'm going to keep leveling these out, and then I'll go grab some water. We'll top them off and we'll call it a day. We've got them leveled off, and there's one thing I forgot to tell you, and that is the lights that I have above these. I will be lowering them down. I have them on a pulley system right now where I can lower them down, and they're a combination, again, simply because I had them. I really stocked up last year. I was gung-ho, and I don't do anything halfway. Unfortunately, this year I'm learning how to spend less money. Last year it was more of a hobby. This year it's more of a necessity. I am lighting them with LED shop lights. And in addition, I have two strings of LED shop lights, one on that side of the table, one on this side of the table. And I also have some small LED grow lights that are actually purple. They throw the blue and red color spectrum. So they'll be saturated with light. And once I get all the seed trays filled that I'm going to get for today, then I will lower the lights down. You don't want them, you know, touching the things, but you want them close enough. And then once the plants start coming up, you'll keep it close so they don't get leggy. And we'll talk about that further when we get there. All right, I've given them a good splash. Let's see if I can lift this and put some water in this tray. Oh, yep. We know we're gonna get messy, right? Yep. Okay. We use damp soil and seeds. It has a good amount of perlite and some peat moss in it to make it aerated so it won't bind too hard. We simply put the seeds on top of the soil, sprinkled soil on top, and just kind of lightly tamped them. Gave them a little splash, labeled them so you know what they are and when you planted them. And now we put the light over them and we watch and wait. And we'll come back when we have sprouts and show you more, because here at Wendy's Way, we are passionate about gardening and growing food and making green things. So I thank you again for joining me here at Wendy's Way. Continuing our journey in food is going to be a passion and a hobby and possibly a necessity from now on. Who knows? I may end up being almost vegetarian. We'll find out, won't we? I do love fruits and vegetables. All right. Thank you again for joining me. If you find any value in my videos, I do pray that you would subscribe to my channel. And the best way you can help me is by sharing my videos anywhere you think anyone else may enjoy them or get something out of them. May the good Lord, who blesses me each and every day of my life, bless you as well, today and always. Amen.